Not one of them has left. This is a spectacle. I cannot remember a time when somebody retired from the game, somebody's finished with the game. It's now been well over half an hour, 40 minutes since the game ended. Not one person is left. I can promise you, if you had a ticket today and you didn't come, you have no idea what you missed. Do stay away, photographers, do stay away. To me, one of the greatest aspects of Tendulkar's cricket. It's been a wonderful journey to have seen him from the time he was 14, 15 years old. It's just been the enormous dignity with which he's carried himself. Tendulkar's the master of the game, make no mistake about it. He's always looked upon the game as a servant. And to a lot of people in India, I remember Anjali asking me, why is all this happening? Why all this outpouring? And I think to a lot of people who wanted to look up to someone with hope in dark times, the parallel with Bradman is often drawn. And what Bradman meant to the world after the horrors of the Second World War. I think a lot of people looked up to Tendulkar. And I often said in difficult times, when Tendulkar got 100, India slept well. Because much like in the movies, he allowed India to forget its misery for a while, its difficult times for a while, and glory in the fact that an Indian could be the best in the world at what he did. And I think 91, 92, when India were coming out of troubled economic times and were starting to find their place in the world, just realizing that they could be as good as anybody else in the world, I think Tendulkar was a symbol of what India could be. There they go again. It was the 2nd of April 2011, but there's a difference. On the 2nd of April 2011, the captain stood back and let Tendulkar have his moment. It was one of the great moments in Indian cricket, and the captain knew it was Tendulkar's moment. You never saw Dhoni anywhere there. Just stayed in the background. Now he's come out to carry Tendulkar on his shoulders. I think it was Virat Kohli's lines that day. Said he's carried Indian cricket on his shoulders for 21 years. It's time we now carried him. And I think that's what they're doing. A lot of you might be watching this telecast outside of India and you're wondering what the fuss is all about. I think this is an indicator of what one man meant to a nation. With Tendulkar, it wasn't just cricket. And I think this is just a wonderful, spontaneous outpouring from the city of his birth and the city that gave him his recognition. He's coming down now underneath where we are. For a lot of people who've seen him bat in international cricket for 24 years too. Some of us have been very lucky to have seen that first Test 100 in England. Everyone's going to think back to all those moments. Where were you when Sachin got his first 100? Where were you when Tendulkar played his last Test match? Where were you when India won the World Cup? And I think you'll notice, like he did today, he's never put himself above the side. He's been a good man, Tendulkar, apart from being a great cricketer. Yes, that's the reason they all waited. They knew that Tendulkar would not disappoint them on the final lap of honour. In about 200 metres, he'll get off and go in. And I think it'll sink in tomorrow morning, as someone said, when he gets up and realizes he doesn't have to go. But I think it'll sink in to a lot of people in India as well. Passing the Tendulkar stand. Somebody else will bat at number 4 for India. But that's the way it is. The tide always comes in, as I've been saying. Just shows behind it's an emotional game, isn't it? It's an emotional sport. We look at numbers, and everyone will look at Sachin Tendulkar's numbers and say 200 test matches. I think this great public demonstration is an illustration of the fact that Tendulkar meant much more to India than just the numbers that he generated. In course of time, the statistics will be what you'll remember him by. But keep these pictures with you. I think they're even taking turns to carry him.
They get tired, Harsha. He's shown what great strength he has had, and look, I've always felt that he's been equally, if not a better person than just the statistics. And he said something to me in that speech. It was the best speech I've heard, and it's not hyperbole. It was moving, and he respect the game. He said that they're stewards of the game. He didn't indicate there was stars. He said they're stewards of the game, and that has stood through to me, and it should stand through to every cricketer from here on.
And I think you'll find, Bish, that when he's 85 years old and he's another Bradman, there'll be another Tendulkar who will want to come and meet him. And I think he'll still say respect the game. I think that's the way he grew up, enjoying this game. And I think in a sense, even if you want to look at a little part of India, it's a tribute to the culture that existed in the city. When Tendulkar was growing up, everything was laid out for him. As a 14-year-old, the city was abuzz with excitement. And while other cities have produced a lot of cricketers, I think Mumbai can take a great deal of credit in the development of Tendulkar. Unknown people on Maidans, unknown umpires, unknown groundsmen. Just people looking after him, coaches at under 15, under 17 level, they all looked after him. It was almost as if Tendulkar was born to be great, and everyone, whether they're 15, 16 years old, everyone just looked after him. I remember people from that era in Mumbai cricket I've spoken to, and they just said we had to look after this man, and I think everybody in Indian cricket, in Mumbai cricket, has looked after him. So I think it's fitting. I think it's a wonderful gesture to let him do this in front of his own crowd. It was a no-brainer. It had to be here. The suggestion that Mumbai is a matchbox, it isn't. We've seen that today at the Wankhede Stadium. There'll be a lot of people with their own Tendulkar story to tell. All by himself. I think he's going to that one place that always gave him calm and serenity. It was the one place that was always his own. I've often been asked to describe Tendulkar in one word, and I think humility is the word that comes to mind. To be honest, it doesn't surprise me at all that he's gone back to the 22 yards that so defined him. The 22 yards that were the making of him. And the 22 yards that made a little boy from Bandra who looked like that. It was those 22 yards that made that little boy into the legend that he became. For Sachin Tendulkar, the game always came first. Sit quietly in there. I think he'll sit quietly in there, away from all the cameras and the limelight. I think he'll let the emotion flow in there. Goodbye, great man.